So things are shaping up very nicely for a massive weekend in the Rugby World Cup. At the time of recording, 2 games gone in this round. Italy 38, Uruguay 17. That was a great one because Uruguay were ahead and then Italy came roaring back. Very exciting game, but the talking point for me is Italy trying another iteration of their combination of playmakers. They want Tommaso Allan and Paolo Garbisi in the team somewhere. In the past, they've actually tried it with Allan at 12 and Garbisi at 10. Garbisi's normally at 10, and they've tried it with Allan at 15 recently, but this time they actually went for Allan at 10, Garbisi at 12. It looks pretty good. Garbisi's strong and quick for a 10, so maybe that's the best iteration. Very interesting stuff. Let me know what you think there. And then we had France 96, Namibia 0. Namibia, I mean, they've had a tough World Cup. Another massive hammering, a little bit embarrassing this one. They did score a try against Italy, but that's pretty much it. And it would have been a big celebration for the French crowd, but the one man they didn't want a nasty injury to, Antoine Dupont, got it, and he was playing amazing, of course, because he's the best player in the world. Head-on-head collision, and it looks like a facial injury. At the time of recording, it's not looking great. There's no confirmation, but he could even be out of the World Cup, or certainly for a long period of it, and that's terrible. Of course, Jalabert jumped in to 10 when Intermac was injured and is looking great, but I'm just not sure there's such a player to jump in for Dupont, so let me know if you think there is, but I'm not so sure. Okay, on to the games. Let's start with Scotland-Tonga, the Scottish team out. I don't really know enough about the Tongan team. I haven't seen it out, so let me know, Tonga fans, how that's looking. But the Scotland team, after the South Africa loss, every game is must win, and every game is probably must win with a bonus point and a decent points difference because you just don't know what's going to happen. They've got to give themselves a chance, so this game is just huge for them. A few changes from their very disappointing loss to South Africa. Are they rotations? Are they drops? I don't really know. Maybe a bit of both. Let me know what you think, Scotland fans. But anyway, let's have a look. Rory Sutherland is in for Schoeman. I'd still probably say Schoeman's first choice, but Sullivan's been first choice in the past, so a great time to get him in, get him some game time without really weakening the team. George Turner, their first choice hooker, and on the bench, Ewan Ashman. Of course, Dave Cherry had that very unfortunate incident with the hotel and came off second best, so Ashman has probably moved up the pecking order, so a big chance for him to make a statement. Xander Ferguson, obviously their starting tight head, alongside Richie Gray, who is now the main man for Scotland, which is a bit of a turnaround, to be honest. It used to be his younger brother Johnny. Scott Cummings is in for Gilchrist. Good player. Is Gilchrist rested? Is he dropped? I don't know. They're starting with that same back row. They like it. The quick guys are Richie and Darge on the flanks, and then their one true big man in the back row, Jack Dempsey. It looks like he is the evolved number 8 for Scotland rather than their quicker, more explosive Matt Fagerson, and he's on the bench. Will he come on at 6 or 8? That'll be interesting, maybe depending how the game's going. Ben White, Finn Russell, obviously their first choice there. Alongside first choice 12-2 Pelutu, they're trying Chris Harris, who has been first choice in the past, well known for his defensive work, but he's going to want to show some attacking prowess as well, because Hugh Jones is known for that, and also Scotland needs some attacking prowess because they didn't score a try against South Africa, of course. And on the wings, they've kind of supersized a bit. Steyn and Van der Merwe. Graham's on the bench, so amazing impact from Graham coming off the bench. Kinghorn, obviously, their main man at 15. Trying Sam Skinner on the bench, who's a bit more of a second row than a back row these days anyway. George Horn instead of Price. So a few changes, a few wrinkles, but essentially it is their best team and they need a big performance. Then on to probably the main show of the weekend, Wales-Australia. A bit of a double-edged sword here, because if Wales win, they go through, and also if they win, they probably knock Australia out. So absolutely massive. More pressure on Australia, but Wales know they've got a great chance here. They're going to be definitely on the up, definitely very enthusiastic. Welsh fans, were you expecting yourself to be in this position? I don't know. But unsurprisingly, similar to the Fiji team they've put out here, just a few changes on the bench, all the changes on the bench. So the starting team is exactly the same. Young Jack Morgan seems like an inspired choice for captain, because not only is he good enough, but he's leading by example. He did have to step in last game, so he's probably played an extra game, but he's young, he's fit, he should be fine. But generally going for the experience in that starting lineup. In the backs, Josh Adams, Reece Ammett, Liam Williams, very, very dangerous. On the bench, a couple of changes. Henry Thomas comes in for Dylan Lewis. Many of you guys in the comments said they should have done that the first time against Fiji. Rafael, I think, is still injured, so Basham makes sense to come in. And then more experience with Anscombe coming on for Costello, even though I'm probably a bit more impressed with Costello. Anscombe's obviously a bit more of an old head, so maybe that's what they're going for here. And maybe the one question I have about this Welsh team is they are very light, I think, on centre cover. Rio Dyer's definitely not a centre. Anscombe, I don't think so. So is it Biggar dropping into 12? Or is it Adams going into 13 or something? I don't really like it. If they get an injury in the centres, it could be a problem. But apart from that, it's very strong. It's actually quite settled now. They've just got a great chance of getting that win. Then on to Eddie Jones's Wallabies. They had some big calls to make and they've made them. So Parecki is now captain. Who'd have thought that? Skelton, the unsuspecting captain before, he's still not fit. That's a huge loss. Then they've dropped McWright, which is a bit strange because I think he's done all right. And Eddie Jones goes for the big open side of Tom Hooper. So much faith put in that young guy. And then Leota starting on the blind side. McDermott's back from a head injury, his preferred 9, but we still haven't quite seen a dominant display from him. And then the big call was going to be, who's going to play at 10? Is it going to be Carter Gordon? Is it going to be Ben Donaldson? Because they are the only two choices. And from the performances so far, then clearly Ben Donaldson was going to be that man, and he is indeed. Gordon has to be on the bench because they're the only two. And that probably does make it line up a bit better, to be honest, a bit more balanced, because Donaldson can kick from 10, and that lets one of their best players, their best 15, Andrew Kellaway, actually start at fullback. So it does make sense. I think it was the right call to make, but they're definitely shorn a few stars. Tupu's obviously injured still, Skelton, like I said, and they're rejigging a bit. It's a little bit of hope in there rather than actually they know they're going to win, I think. So they're going to be a bit nervous. Let me know what you think. There's still plenty of danger there, particularly in that back line of Karevi. Patai's looking good. Corambetti, Nwanga Tuwezi, of course, he's really, really dangerous, and I rate Kellaway, so that back line is great if they can get them firing. But that Welsh team, very experienced, very confident. I'd probably edge it to the Welsh on the favourites maybe, but let me know what you think. Pop all the comments below on the Scottish team, the Welsh team, the Australian team, and the game so far, and I'll catch you next time.